There you go.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Camp Creativity. My name is Val. We are going to be making this fun fishing game today. So we're going to be making these cute little fish, super easy to make. And then we're going to be making a fishing pole with a hook. And then you can make however many fish you want, and you can have a contest or play games with your brothers and sisters or your friends and see who can catch the fish. So today you are going to need some colored paper. I have cardstock here. It's a little heavier than construction paper, but construction paper would work. If you don't have either of those, just some plain computer paper would work, and then you can color your fish if you'd like. You're going to need some chenille stems, just really just one, and because we're only going to use a little piece of, we're not even going to use a whole chenille stem. And you're going to need a wood dowel, or even if you don't have a wood dowel, a stick would be great. You can run outside and get a stick from outside. And you're going to need some yarn or some string to make your fishing line. And if you've got wiggle eyes, you can use wiggle eyes on your fish, or you can draw the eyes. So I've got some markers here. If you've got markers or crayons handy, you'll need those. A hole punch will come in handy. If you don't, you can sort of just puncture a hole in the paper very carefully. I'll show you how to do that. But a hole punch, if you have one, that would be great. Some glue to glue on your wiggle eyes. And either a stapler or a glue stick. And that will help keep our tail together. I've used a stapler, so I've just stapled the fish's tail together. But if you don't have a stapler, you can use a glue stick and then a pair of scissors. So I'll give you guys just a little bit of time to gather your supplies before we get started. But if you've got your supplies in front of you, how you're gonna start is you're gonna take your paper, which is going to be an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, which is a normal paper size, and you're going to cut it down the middle. So you have two long pieces, okay? So you want to go, well, depends on how you're looking at it, vertically, if your paper is this way, so that you have two skinny pieces. You only need one of the pieces for one fish. So out of one piece of paper, you can get two fish. I just want to remind you guys that the supplies and the instructions are in the link in the chat. And then also just check the answer tab if you have a question before your question may have already been answered. So just check that before you ask a question. And this is going to be recorded so that you can go back and watch it again later. If you didn't get to finish, or if you want to make the project again, you can follow along with the class again later. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with my half a sheet of paper, and I'm just going to fold it in half, but I'm not going to crease it. I want to keep this side rounded, okay? That's how my fish is going to be rounded. He's not going to be creased, okay? So, and we're going to hold it where the ends come together, and you can either take a stapler and go in about an 1.5 inches or so, and okay, and I just ran out of staples, so I'm going to glue the other part of mine. That way I can show you guys both how to do it. So you can just glue your paper together like that, okay? Then you take your scissors and see how on this guy, I just kind of cut a little scallop. That's his tail. So fish sometimes have scallopy tails. So you can make it as decorative or as simple as you'd like. I'm going to make mine pretty simple. I'm going to make like an S. So that's my fish tail. Okay.
We have a few people, Val, who want to know if you could go over how to cut the paper and then which way you folded it.
Okay, I sure can. Since I used the other half of my orange, we're gonna pretend that this is one sheet of paper, okay? Uh-oh. My screen looks like there we go, locked up. So your paper, let me see if I can grab another piece of paper. Okay, so your paper, if it's one sheet of paper, okay, this is a portrait. You guys probably know portrait and landscape. So this is portrait. You can fold it in half. That's a good way to find your center. And then you're just gonna cut it right down that folded side. So you're cutting it in half long ways. Okay? Then, after you've got that, you're gonna fold the two ends together, but you don't wanna bend this. You wanna keep this nice and round. So see how I have the two ends together like that? So you can either staple it like here and here, or you can glue it. So I've got my glue stick. I'm just gonna put glue on about an inch or an inch and a half. You just need it to stick together, the ends, and then you're just going to press it together like that. And that's what you're gonna end up with, a little fish shaped like that, okay? And then I'll go over cutting the tail. So I'm just going to cut a scallop, kind of like a giant S shape. To make a tail. Now you could cut the tail, you could just cut slits in his tail. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can do it, so you can get creative with that. Okay, so now we have our fish shape. So I'm gonna go back to my orange guy. And I'm going to, now I want to make some fins. Now, if you see on this guy, I've made dimensional 3D fins. So you can either just draw the shape of the fin on the side of your fish, or I'll show you how to cut out you're gonna cut two of these shapes out, and we're gonna basically cut a big triangle. So I'm gonna make this fin pink on my orange fish. I'm gonna cut a piece of paper. Okay, so you can see about the size. I'm gonna make the fin. See how I've laid it on the side of the fish. I'm going to cut a rounded triangle, which is basically a triangle. I just didn't make the point of the triangle. I just cut a curve at the end of the triangle, okay? So then I'm gonna make two of those because I want a fin on either side. So I'm just gonna lay the one I cut out on another piece of paper and cut around it. And then I should have two that are the same size. So I'll give you guys a minute to do that. So that might take you a little bit to do.
While people are working on that, we had a few questions.
Okay.
If they don't have a hole punch, what would you recommend that they use?
Maybe a pointy pencil. We're going to be very careful when we do that. Something that you can here I have a pencil that has a point on it, and I'm going to just sort of push it through until I have a little hole. So that's one way to do it. If your scissors are pointed, you can maybe, you're going to be very careful with this, but you should have safety scissors to do this. You can very gently push the point of the scissors through too. That won't be a perfect hole, but that's not important. We just need the chenille stem. You might also, depending on how heavy your paper is, you might be able to just poke the end of, see, I just poked the end of the chenille stem right through. Went through pretty easy. So what you just want to do when you do that is just hold the paper on either side where you're going to push it through, because your chenille stem, if you have one, is going to have wire in the end, and that's going to go through too. And if you don't have a chenille stem, for the top of the fish, you could substitute yarn, but you're going to still want a hook. And for the hook for your fishing line, a chenille stem works really, really, really well. But if you don't have one, maybe something you could use would be like a twist tie from a bread bag or something like that. I'm also going to show you how, if you don't have any of those things, how we're going to make a hook out of our cardstock. It won't work so good out of construction paper because that's pretty flimsy, but the cardstock holds up pretty good. I made a hook here, and I tested it on my fish, and it seemed to work pretty good. So you can.
And the other question we had, so some people were wondering if they could use a chopstick or an unsharpened pencil for the dowel.
Absolutely. Anything, use your imagination. Those are great ideas. And like I said, even run outside and get a stick, an unsharpened pencil. Even if you have a long paintbrush, you just need something you can hang on to. Even, a craft stick would work, a popsicle stick would work. It wouldn't be as long as you probably want it, but it would work. I mean, I could even use my Sharpie. My Sharpie could be my fishing pole. So yeah, so use what you've got. See if you can find something that you can use. You can make a quick one with us today, and then you can go, okay, I think I can improve on my design. I'm going to go outside and find me a stick, and I'm going to get some string or some yarn or some twine, and you can improve on your creation later. So I'll show you how to make it, and then you guys can just go crazy later. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to put your fins on. I'm going to move this out of the way. Okay, so I have my 2 rounded triangles. I'm going to fold them, the end over just a little bit. Can you see that? Okay, and that's the part I'm going to glue on to my fish. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to add some glue, and then I'm going to stick it on to my fish. See, and now I've got my little fin. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, if you wanted to go back later and really decorate your fish, you can add glitter and glitter glue, and paint and markers and all kinds of stuff if you really want to make a fancy fish. Or if you just want to make a bunch of fish so that you can put up what would be kind of fun is to maybe put your fish on the floor behind your sofa and then go fishing for your fish from the top of the sofa. That might be kind of fun. Okay, so I'm going to take here I've got my little fish, and I'm going to show you my finished guy. So I just took a marker and I just added some details onto him. I kind of did some little scales. You want to see what I'm doing here? Just little scallops, little half circles for my fins. So I'm going to do that on the same thing on the other side. Okay, now this is the fun part. Now we're going to make fish lips. See my fish lips? Looks like 2 hearts, doesn't it? A heart, an upside down heart, and a right side up heart. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to put my hand in here just so I have a surface to draw on. And I'm going to draw a heart, just like that. Oops. And I'm going to draw another heart, like that. And I'm going to color them in. And now I have fish lips. Oh, mine kind of got on the side. That's all right. And the last thing we're going to add, now you can always decorate your tail. Like I made some lines on the other one, so you can decorate your fish's tail. Sometimes they look like fans. Okay, now for the eyes, if you have wiggle eyes, this is where you will glue them on. If you don't, I will glue a wiggle eye on one side and I'll draw an eye on the other side. How about that? So first I'm going to draw my eye first. So I'm just going, and if a fish's eyes, if you look at a picture of them, they're not right in the front part of their head. They're on the kind of on the side of their head, on either side of their head. So I'm not going to put the eyes right in the front. I'm going to put them on the side. So I'm going to draw a fish eye. I'm going to give this fish some eyelashes. How about that? You can be fancy, silly, serious, however you want. Okay, so that's that guy. See him? And then on this side, I'm going to glue, I'm going to show you that I'm gluing this wiggle eye on this side. All right. Now my lips kind of got a little crooked, but it's kind of fun. That's my fish. Okay, so now let's see. We'll do our fishing pole last. Let's go ahead and do our holes. So where you're going to put your holes, if you have a hole punch, is kind of almost right above where the fins are. So I'm going to just punch a hole there and across from it on the other side so that they are across from each other. See, I have a hole here. Can you see that? A hole here and a hole here. So they're right across from each other. And again, if you don't have a hole punch, be very careful, but try pushing the point of your pencil through like that, or the scissors, and be very, very careful. Now you're going to take your chenille stem and you're going to cut, you know, a little bit, maybe a third of it. Cut it with your scissors. So you just need a piece about that long, and you're going to put it through the holes and through the top of the fish. Okay. Now you can pull this up because it'll make it a little bit easier to catch your fish if it's up above the actual fish. See how I've got it coming up a little bit over the fish? And then bend your ends up and twist them. Now, if you have thin paper, be careful not to tear your holes. That's always a risk with the thinner paper. Now, if you don't have a chenille stem for this step, you could put a piece of yarn through it or string through it. It'll make it a little bit harder when you're catching your fish, but it will work. Okay, so see, that's how my fish now looks. I'll show you all the sides. All right. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a second to finish that up. And we're going to move on to our fishing pole and our hook. So again, be creative with your fishing pole. Even if I used my pencil, that would work. So you need about, however long you want your line to be. So, you know, if you're going to be hanging over your couch and picking them up from the floor, you might need a kind of a long piece of yarn. Now, the longer the yarn, I think is going to be a little bit harder to catch your fish. So if it's a shorter piece, it might be easier to control your fishing pole to get to your fish. But if it's longer, it might be harder. So you can decide how hard you want to make your game. So what you're going to do, so this is probably 3 feet long, probably. I may trim it, but I'm going to start with the long piece, and I'm going to wrap it onto my wood dowel or my stick or my pencil, and I'm just going to wrap the yarn around a few times and then tie a knot. And if you want it extra secure, you can always add a dab of glue there, but I think it will stay just fine. So here's my fishing pole with my fishing line. Okay. So now I'm going to take the rest of my chenille stem. I'm going to cut what I have left in half. And I'm going to make it into a J or a hook. So you're just going to bend it into that shape. Okay, just like that. And you're going to take the end of your string, and you're going to basically do the same thing you did on your stick, on your fishing poles. You're going to wrap the yarn around a few times, wrap it around the top of the hook a few times, and then tie a knot. So if you ended up just using white paper for your fish, feel free to go back and color on it and make stripes and dots and all kinds of things. Okay, so here is my hook and my fishing pole. So now we will take our, see, I've got a long string and it's going to be harder to catch my fish. Turn, there we go, and I caught it. Isn't that fun? This is one of my favorite projects, you guys. This is so much fun. Oh, I know what I want to show you. If you don't have the things that I have, like the chenille stem or a twist tie to make a hook, I drew a big J on a piece of cardstock, just like that. And I'm going to cut it out. Now I left the end of my hook kind of pointy, and that'll be helpful for trying to catch your fish. It'll be easier to get it on your line. So I've cut this out just like that. I'm going to poke a hole, show you how to, I'm just going to carefully push. Okay, come on. Here we go. Then I would have any more yarn here. Here, I'll just cut this one off so I can show you guys. So then you would have your fishing pole, and then you'd have your paper hook. You want to push that yarn through that hole you just made. I'm going to use my little pencil to help me get it through. Okay. Then you'll just tie a knot carefully at the top. And that's my, I'm gonna cut the rest of this yarn off so you can see better. So now there's my paper hook. Let's see how that works. Ooh, he's a little wide. I'm gonna cut this down just a little bit. If you find that you can't get your hook into your fish, then it's a little too wide. I did it. So there we go. There's my paper hook. So that'll work too. All right, that's pretty much it, guys. So I have a couple of fish, so you can make more fish. Make as many fish as you want and have fun with your fishing game. Does anybody have any more questions?
There are some people wondering if you could just explain how you do the J for the chenille stem.
Sure. Do the J instead of the chenille stem, or do them both? Should I do them both?
Yeah, I think both.
Okay, well, I'll just cut my yarn off again and I'll show you again. Okay? Okay. So for the chenille stem hook, we're going to take a little piece of chenille stem. This is about 3 to 4 inches long. And we're just going to put your finger there and just bend it. So you're going to make a J. Just like that. Okay? So that's the chenille stem hook. For the paper hook, get a piece of paper here. For the paper hook, I'm going to just draw a big J or a hook. Give myself some thickness up here so that I can put my hole in there. My hole will go about there, and I'm going to come back down and I'm going to taper it off to make a hook. Okay, so then I'm just going to cut that out. Okay, so there's my paper hook and my chenille stem hook. So then for my chenille stem hook, all you're going to do is take the end of your yarn that's attached to your fishing pole and just wrap it around a few times and tie a knot. So now your chenille stem hook is now tied onto your yarn fishing line. Okay, so that's what we have there. There's a hook. There's my fishing pole. Okay. For the paper hook, we're going to take it. We're going to punch a hole in the end, or puncture a hole, however you need to do it, and then you're going to put your yarn through the hole and then tie a knot. So there we have a fishing pole with a paper hook. Hook our fish. Oops, running into my camera. There we go.
We have another question on if you could show how to put the pipe cleaner, the chenille stem, onto the fish again.
Yes, I certainly can. I've got a blank fish right here. I'm gonna use this guy. And, oh, there's my other chenille. I've got a chenille stem right here. So you need about 1/3 of it, not quite half. If I bent it in half, that would be half. So I'm just gonna go a little bit less than half. Okay, so you have a piece about that long. It's about as long as, well, your fingers aren't gonna be as long as mine, I guess. Your hand. Then you're going to, after you punched your holes or poked your holes on either side of the fish's head, okay? See where on this guy, where the chenille stem's going through? And that's where I have punctured my holes. And this hole is exactly opposite of this hole. And if it's not exact, it's fine. It just needs to be on the other side of the fish. So what you're going to do is take your chenille stem and you're going to push it from the outside of one hole through to the other hole so that it looks like that. Okay. Now you're going to want to pull it up on the chenille stem a little bit. So you want to make a little bit of what do I want to call it? Little place for your hook to go into. You're going to just twist the ends of your chenille stem to secure it onto your fish. Just twist it around the existing chenille stem. And see how I've made that a loop at the top, a hump at the top, I guess maybe that's a better way to say it. And that's going to give my hook something to grab onto when I'm fishing. Okay? That's what you want it to, that's how you want it to operate. Okay? So I'll lay these guys here so you can see them.
I think we have a few more requests to see the fin again.
The fin.
Yes.
I can show you the fin again. Okay. So what I did was okay, so I'm going to take the other half of one of my sheets of paper and I'm going to kind of cut it in half. Again, give me two little pieces like that, okay? Now, if you're more comfortable with a pencil, you can draw, you can go either way. We're going to draw a triangle. So you can draw a triangle, okay? See how I drew a triangle? But I'm not going to cut it pointy like that. I'm going to round it like that. And then I'm going to cut it out. So it looks like that. And I'm going to take my other piece of cardstock or paper and I'm going to trace around it. And cut another one. Okay, so there's my two triangles or my two fins, however you want to look at that. Then you're going to bend the end over about 1/4 of an inch or so, not too much, just enough to give yourself a tab, a little edge to glue onto your fish. Okay, so it's going to glue onto your fish like that. And I'm going to add up into my glue stick. There it is. I'm going to add a little glue to this tab. Okay. I'm going to attach it to my fish. I'm going to put my fingers in through the fish to hold it down so I can press my fingers together, and now I'm pressing the fin onto the fish. And then you're just going to do the same thing for the other side. And that's how we do our fins. And then I decorated the fins. I decorated the tail, did my fish lips, did my wiggle eyes or my fancy eye. There we go. We have any other questions?
And I think if you could just explain one last time how you cut and fold the paper to make the fish.
Okay.
I think that will cover most of the questions that we've had.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move these guys out of the way. So if you remember, we have one piece of paper. We're just going to pretend these are the same color, okay? And you're going to, this is how your paper looks, whether it's a piece of paper from the computer or a piece of construction paper or a piece of cardstock. It's 8.5 this way by 11 this way. So that's normal paper size. We're just going to fold it in half. You fold your piece of paper in half and crease it, okay? Then open it up and then just cut along the crease, okay? And that will give you a long, narrow piece of paper. And then to make our fish, all you're going to do is take the ends, bring them together, just like that, okay? You want this to stay rounded. You don't want to put a crease in it. You just want it to stay nice and rounded. And then you're going to take your glue stick and you're going to glue 1 inch or 2 of the tail area, the back end where the papers come together, and stick them together. Push them together real good. And it should stay just like that. Then you can cut a tail. And I keep cutting a wavy tail. You can do whatever kind you want. So that's how I cut my tail. So that's what my fish is going to look like. That's the base of your fish. And then you can do whatever you want to the fish. You can add glitter, glitter glue, wiggle eyes, markers, paint, paper, crayons, whatever you want. How are we doing? Everybody got it?
I think that is pretty much all of our questions. As a reminder, I have put a link to where you can find this video later. And so you will be able to rewatch it if you are a little bit behind still. We have some great ideas from other people. Some people put eyebrows on their fish.
All right.
They got very creative.
Good. It's a simple fish. And like I said, you can make it as silly as you want. The key components are the hook at the top and the hook on your fishing line. That's how it works. All right, I hope you guys had fun. This is one of my favorite projects. Hope you guys had as much fun making it as I did. You guys go ahead and put your pictures up on michaels.com and do hashtag make it with Michaels, and we can see what you did. We'd love to see what you do. All right, are we wrapping up then?
I think
so. All right, thanks guys. Happy creativity. See you next time.